people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. In a little over a week's time, approximately 2, unified light flyweight champion of Argentina, Evelyn Bermudez, is going to be returning to action against an opponent that has yet to be announced. This will be her second fight of this year. She was in action earlier this year in March against Deborah Rengifo in defense of her IBF title and for the vacant WBO. The newly vacated WBO that Senicia Estrada used to be in possession of until the WBO put the squeeze on her and told her she's got to make a decision. She's got to decide whether or not she wants to keep the WBO at light flyweight or the WBA title at minimum weight. The WBO, they've got a rule for reigning champions. They don't let reigning champions in possession of their belts.
They don't let them hold alphabet titles at other weights.
So Senicia decided she'd rather hold on to the WBA title at minimum weight rather than the WBO title she won from Tenkai Tsunami at light flyweight. Which point, when the title became vacant, Evelyn
snatched it up.
Evelyn Bermudez of the Fighting Bermudezes, the Fighting Bermudezes of Argentina, her decorated sister, Daniela Bermudez, the lesser-known Roxana Bermudez. Fighting is a family business, a family trade for the Fighting Bermudezes. Evelyn is one of 3 champions in today's light flyweight division. There's actually set to be 2 title fights this month at light flyweight. Bermudez versus an opponent that has yet to be announced in a little over a week's time, approximately 2.
And Kim Clavel versus Yesenia Gomez towards the end of the month.
Long-reigning WBC champion of Mexico, Yesenia Gomez. They finally nailed down that fight, and it's going down towards the tail end of this month, a week after Evelyn Bermudez's next fight. When it comes to Evelyn's fight, I don't imagine it's going to be some killer she's taking on, someone interesting.
No, I get the sense it's your run-of-the-mill, keep-busy fight.
It'll be your run-of-the-mill, keep-busy fight against your run-of-the-mill, keep-busy opponent. The landscape at light flyweight at 108 pounds, it is changing. Jessica Neri Plata is this division's newly crowned WBA champion. Very soon, I anticipate that the WBC title will change hands. I have Kim Clavel beating Yesenia Gomez, and very soon, Evelyn Bermudez is going to be returning to action against an opponent that is yet to be announced.
Evelyn's just like her sister, Daniela. She's a fun fighter to watch, but she's not a hard fighter to understand.
Evelyn Bermudez, much like her sister, Daniela Bermudez, she's a mid-range to inside puncher, mid-range to inside slugger, a pressure fighter. This ain't no finesse fighting kind of fighter, no outside jabber. This is a swarmer, a rough-and-tumble kind of fighter.
Rough-and-tumble kind of champion, an unbeaten one.
Sporting a professional record of 16 wins, no losses with 1 draw, and 6 knockouts. Evelyn might have picked up the vacant WBO title in her last fight, but she's actually reigned as this division's IBF champion for some years now, at least 3 going on 4. She picked up the IBF title in December of 2018.
In that way, she is an experienced fighter, a seasoned fighter, and a seasoned champion.
Albeit a young champion, she's only 26 years old. Many good years left in her professional boxing career. When it comes to Gomez versus Clavel, set to go down a week after Evelyn Bermudez's next fight, I don't have a lot of new thoughts on this thing. I still favor Kim Clavel to pry the green belt away from Yesenia Gomez, the very underwhelming Yesenia Gomez, who I think has only reigned as a champion this long because she's circumvented many of the tough fights and the tough fighters, the other champions at this weight. Fighters like Kenya Enriquez, fighters like Evelyn Bermudez, fighters like Senicia Estrada, who did hold the title here for a brief time.
Yesenia Gomez has reigned as this division's WBC champion since September of 2018.
In that way, she's been a champion at this weight for approximately 4 years. 4 years without unifying a title. 4 years without taking on Kenya Enriquez, one of the better fighters at this weight. You ask me, why is it that Yesenia Gomez is now deciding to travel abroad and take this fight? And it's likely because she likes her chances against Kim Clavel a lot more than she likes her chances against some of the other fighters at this weight. Though that doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't a banana skin. I think it is. I think Kim Clavel...
I think she's going to outpoint Yesenia Gomez because she's a better boxer than Yesenia.
Yesenia Gomez, who hasn't been the busiest champion, she only fought once last year in October.
Looks to have fought only once in the last 2 years or close to it.
I feel like Yvonne Michelle and the people over there at Gym have done a very good job getting this fight over the line. Try and understand that this fight has been postponed and rescheduled more than once. 3 times, actually, by my count. But the people at Gym and Yvonne Michelle, they have remained committed to getting this fight over the line and getting their fighter, Kim Clavel, her opportunity, her shot. Kim Clavel, who fought last year and was in action in March earlier this year.
There have been about 2-3 postponements, I think.
And I vaguely recall something about Yesenia Gomez delaying the fight because she wanted more time to prepare. More recently, Kim Clavel had unfortunately contracted COVID, so they had to move the fight. They had to reschedule it. But now it's here, and it's set to go down in a little over 3 weeks' time.
On the 29th.
That makes for 2 light flyweight title fights this month. You've got Evelyn Bermudez versus an opponent that has yet to be announced in about 2 weeks, and then a week later, you have Clavel versus Gomez set to go down in Canada. Keep your eyes peeled for that. In men's lightweight news ahead of his upcoming fight this weekend with Javier Fortuna, Ryan Garcia says Haney doesn't have the killer instincts. He will feel it when he's in there with me.
When's that going to be, pray tell?
I imagine that to the actual boxers like Ryan Garcia, fight fans like me, you guys out there, we might seem like whining children in an abattoir.
We're always complaining, can't shut the fuck up.
But then again, neither can Ryan Garcia, and all the empty promises he makes as soon as he opens his mouth.
Am I not supposed to point that out? Am I not supposed to point out that both Devin and Ryan were fighting on the same side of the street not that long ago?
I just think the way I grew up, we always talk shit. Garcia told BoxingScene.com of his comments towards Haney. I don't have no bad intentions when I talk smack. When I look at Haney versus Kambosos as a fellow athlete, I just say congratulations. Was it boring in my opinion? Yes. Could he have shown flashes of killer instinct? Some people don't have it. Didn't look like Ryan had it when he fought Emmanuel to go.
And this is what I mean. It's one thing to talk shit.
It's a free country, and Ryan Garcia is at liberty, well within his rights, to talk shit about Devin Haney the same way that spectators in this spectator sport are free to talk shit about him, free to talk shit about Ryan, and how he looked against Emmanuel to go.
He didn't look like no killer to me.
Looked pretty goddamn bang average, chasing that guy around the ring, struggling to land a power shot. He didn't get the guy out of there. He didn't knock him out. You could argue that Ryan was coming off a lengthy stint of inactivity and all that jazz, though you're only as good as your last fight. And that was Ryan's last fight, the Emmanuel to go.
Yeah. Haney versus Kambosos was a boring fight, but so was Garcia versus to go.
What's the difference?
Haney versus Kambosos was for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. What the hell was on the line in Garcia versus to go?
He doesn't have it. He will feel it when he's in there with me, and he knows what I'm talking about. He's just not a good offensive fighter. You can be good offensively and not get hit. Floyd Mayweather used to run numbers on people and not get hit. He just didn't move around. He had a killer instinct in him. Devin's not like that. He just boxed his way to victory, and I'm very proud of him.
You wonder if Ryan's going to look like a killer this weekend against Javier Fortuna.
Javier, who's a very experienced guy at this weight, very seasoned guy as a professional boxer, been in there with a lot of people. He can box on the back foot just a bit, but he can be a scrappy offensive fighter as well. Could make things interesting in that fight with Ryan Garcia. If I'm being honest, it's not a bad fight, though. Given how much shit Ryan is talking, he may end up painting himself into a corner.
He might. He better look sensational with Javier Fortuna, given how much shit he's talking.
It's not that he's not making a valid point. In some ways he is. Some ways about Devin's ability to be an offensive fighter and how he's mostly safety first, and that's all well and good. But he was fighting in a very high-level fight where there was a lot on the line. He made a grown man's decision at 23 years old to travel abroad without his father by his side to compete for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world, whereas Ryan Garcia has become more synonymous with fights that he doesn't have than fights that he does.
Boring or not, you're in no position to critique Devin Haney.
You can woulda, coulda, shoulda the shit out of the situation by saying that Ryan might have beat George Kambosos Jr. You can do that in your imagination station, but the reality of it is Ryan doesn't hold a win over a George Kambosos or a Jojo Diaz or a Jorge Linares. Hell, those last two guys, Ryan Garcia pulled out of those fights with those last two guys, and Devin ended up fighting them. So before you say that Devin doesn't have killer instincts, why don't you at least amass a resume like the one he's amassing? And he's in the same age group that you are, but he's an undisputed champion and you're not.
Stop me when I tell a lie.
In this generation where criticism is levied evenly, people are quick to call you a hater. Oh, you're a hater. You're hating on Ryan. I'm hating by stating the facts, stating the obvious. Devin Haney has been fighting fighters that Ryan was supposed to have fought, but Ryan pulled out of those fights. So Devin took those opportunities to show us what he can do. And Devin, unlike Ryan, he's a full-fledged, undisputed champion in the lightweight division, and he's in the same age group as Ryan. So believe me when I tell you, Ryan is in no position to talk.
I know that Devin Haney's undisputed run was perhaps easier than most.
He didn't have to run through a gauntlet of fighters, a gauntlet of champions in different countries the way that Alexander Usyk did or Josh Taylor. He didn't face the same resistance even that Terence Crawford faced when he took on Victor Postol and Julius Longdongo at 140 pounds compared to everybody else that's become an undisputed champion in the last 5 or 6 years. Devin has had it a little easier than they did because he only had to fight one guy for 3 belts.
But hell, that's one more guy, one more champion than Ryan's ever fought.
That makes for 3 or 4 more belts than Ryan's ever held. So is Ryan really in any position to talk about what Devin Haney's doing wrong?
Ryan's shooting off at the mouth the way that many kids these days shoot off at the mouth.
And in truth, there's nothing wrong with shooting off at the mouth, especially in this industry, this business, the hurt business, so long as you can back it up. But Ryan Garcia has done anything but back it up.
The guy fought in a WBC final eliminator just so he could walk away from a title shot. Are you kidding me?
A title shot for Devin Haney's title, his then WBC title, the one he's still holding, and now he wants to talk about
killer instincts and what'll happen if he's in the ring with Devin Haney.
He waits good up until Devin Haney's boxing on another platform and not the same one as him. He waits good up until Devin's not boxing on his platform anymore to start talking about what would happen if they shared the ring. It's so indignantly childish, infantile, and stupid.
He's free to talk his shit, and we're free to feel about it however we choose to feel about it, and I feel it's cringeworthy.
You wanted to show the world your killer instincts. Why didn't you get Devin Haney in the ring? To show everybody that you've got better killer instincts than he does. Why'd you pass up that opportunity? Only so that when he goes across the street and he's on Top Rank and ESPN's platform, oh, now you want to talk about killer instincts?
I don't know, maybe he'll show some this weekend with Javier Fortuna. We'll see.
And finally, in men's heavyweight news, on the heels of his big win this past weekend over his old buddy, Kubrat Pulev, Derek Chisora wants Deontay Wilder next, saying, "Get me the bronze bomber."
There was a time where Derek Chisora stood good odds in a fight like that.
But I feel like that time has long since passed. The heavyweight is not ready to step away from boxing yet. Derek Chisora called for a fight with Deontay Wilder after defeating Kubrat Pulev in their rematch on Saturday. Chisora lost to the Bulgarian veteran Pulev back in 2016, but the 38-year-old veteran stopped a 3-fight losing streak when he defeated the 41-year-old on Saturday. His last victory came in 2019 against David Price, and some had been calling for him to step away from the ring after losing consecutive fights.
He lost the decision to Alexander Usyk.
Went on to fight former WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker. I think he got robbed in that first fight I did. I had Derek Chisora winning that first fight, though. Joseph got it together in the rematch. He won that one comprehensively.
But the thing about Derek Chisora's fights is they don't disappoint. For the most part, they're fan-friendly fights where the guy really gives it a go.
Eye-catching punches, eye-catching shots. Whether Derek Chisora wins or loses a fight, that's why people pay attention, even when he's coming off of 3 back-to-back losses.
At 38 years old with losses in the double digits, people still show up for Derek Chisora's fights because they're entertaining.
He is that war-torn veteran, that old Spartan, that old gladiator that's too brave for his own good. I last won a fight 3 years ago, he said after his win. I'm happy today, but at the same time I'm sad. I don't have many left in me, but what I do have, I will give my all to you guys. I don't have many left, so my next couple of fights, I'm on my way out. I don't want no easy fights. I want the hard fight.
That's the story of Derek Chisora's career. That's why he has losses in double digits.
And that's why people still pay to see him fight, because he's always in the hard fights. You know, at a time where Deontay Wilder was having his fill of fat
cruiserweights and fringe contenders at heavyweight,
Derek Chisora was fighting Tyson Fury 2 times, fighting a standout amateur in Robert Helenius, having a title fight with Vitaly Klitschko. I think what gets lost in translation, what often goes under the radar, is that Deontay Wilder and Derek Chisora come from the same cycle of heavyweights. They come from the same crop, and the difference is that Derek Chisora was taking on quality fighters, quality opponents for many, many years, whereas Deontay Wilder, he didn't start fighting guys with a pulse until 7 years after he went pro.
I told Eddie the other day,
If he can get me the Bronze Bomber, I'll be happy. I want to fight everybody in my era, win or lose. I just want to fight, and that's why people show up to Derek Chisora's fights, because win or lose, he's going to make it that. He's going to make it a fight, though taking on today's Deontay Wilder, who's coming off consecutive losses.
He's coming off consecutive losses the way Derek was before this past weekend.
The same way Derek was. The difference is Deontay Wilder's not 38 years old like Derek, and he's certainly not 41 like Kubrat Pulev.
It was nice to see Derek finally have a decision go his way, because he deserved it.
And it'd be even nicer to see Derek leave the sport of boxing on a high, off a W, than continue to fight until somebody lays him out. If he finds himself opposite the ring, Deontay Wilder, that's what would happen. I reiterate, there was a time when you could have given Derek Chisora, given his base style, the way he bobs and weaves, slips and slides under straight shots, under straight punches, which just so happen to be Deontay Wilder's best punches. There was a time that Derek Chisora's come-forward-based style would have given Deontay Wilder a lot of problems. There was a time when you could have given Derek, given how he goes about fighting a fight, decent odds to beat Deontay Wilder are given a lot of problems. But that time is long since passed.
Deontay Wilder's a fighter that has no inside game.
Given that Derek has never been the most statuesque heavyweight, he can make himself a slippery target, a slippery guy, small one. He can make himself that whilst coming forward and pressuring the other man, crowding him mid-range to inside. There was a time when Derek could have gave Deontay Wilder a lot of problems, but the number of right hands I saw Pulev land on Derek this past weekend, if just one of those right hands is coming from Deontay Wilder, that's all she wrote.
Bear in mind, Pulev is 41. He didn't have any snap on those punches. No snap on those shots.
Even though Deontay Wilder's coming off of 2 back-to-back shellackings at the hands of Tyson Fury, I'd still wager he's got more snap in that right hand of his than Kubrat did this past weekend.
Yeah, Derek Chisora still has more of a work rate than Wilder does.
Wilder's never been a particularly prolific puncher, but it's only a matter of time before he gets caught with a right hand, as he's not as fast as he used to be.
He'd get caught. He'd definitely get caught.
Yeah, if there actually were a fight, but that's just it. This is much ado about nothing, because they're not going to get Deontay Wilder in the ring with Derek Chisora. They couldn't get Adam Kovnowski in the ring with Derek, so I sincerely doubt they'll be able to get Wilder in the ring with Derek.
Won't happen.